Okay, let's jump right into it with a pair of scissors. These are Renzetti 1-inch blade, 3¼ inch long scissors. I keep them on my left hand with my third finger and thumb. I use to manipulate them and then roll them back in, and they stay right there in my third finger, which gives me room for my bobbin. It allows me to hold it and squeeze to apply tension to lock it when I want to pull thread out. And with that set up there, I go ahead and start my thread. Now you can start this thread and make 5 wraps forward and 5 wraps back, and when you do, you've got that thread securely trapped on, and you can go ahead and trim your tag end off. Or the more conventional way to do it is to come up and over the standing thread that you're holding down below and trap it that way. Now some people have a hard time doing this. They come and they push back and they chase the thread back down the hook. If you try to do it this way and that happens to you, use your right hand to move forward as you're coming up over that thread, and you'll be able to trap it. So here I'll trap it the conventional way, and I'm trapping it about an eye size behind the eye, which is where you normally start your thread. Then I'll just trim that off. And I'm going to wrap back towards the eye here and show you that's the start. Now I'll show you the finish of most flies, and that's a whip finish knot. So you've been able to get your thread up on the hook and it's hanging. Say you've tied your whole fly and you want to finish it up and make sure it's secure. You take a tool like this. This is a Mattarelli style whip finish tool. You see the tool rotates inside the barrel, the handle. Get that. So there you go. You can see the whole tool that way, and it does rotate, and I don't want it to rotate initially, so I'm going to grab that BB and then hook the thread, come up into the notch. It's in the bottom part of this. Rotate this around, and I've made a U with my thread. Now I'm going to bring the bobbin down below this hook shank and let go of that BB on the left there. And you see it rotated down and made a triangle with my thread. And bring it up around and make 3 wraps, and I've got a whip finish knot. I just lift up and release the thread from that little bend notch right there, and lock the thread with my right hand and pull down. Now I've gone ahead and wrapped a ways back, and I'm going to show you how to do some dubbing. Now I take the dubbing material and I hold it in my thread hand between my thumb and forefinger, and I dub with my right hand even though I tie left-handed, or at least in this video I do. Now I don't have any dubbing here, but what I'm going to do with dubbing is pinch it onto the thread and then roll, and I have to always roll in one direction. Now I can come up like this, again no dubbing right now, but I can pinch and roll in that direction if I want to, but whichever direction I roll in, I have to continue rolling in that direction. It's more comfortable for me to roll, bringing my thumb back towards my hand. So you can see how little dubbing I have on there, but I'm rolling it and spinning it around the thread, and it's starting to build up, and I've just got a very little amount of dubbing. Biggest problem most people have is they put too much dubbing on the thread. But I'm wetting my fingers, just a little bit of saliva on them. I pinch that, push that dubbing onto the thread, and then I spin, always the same direction, let go and spin some more. And you can see I've built up a layer of dubbing on this thread, and I wrap forward and it's on the hook, and I've got pretty much a level body here. But if I wanted to make this a tapered body, I would go ahead and continue to dub the same way. Let me get back so I can touch up against the old dubbing. And I make a couple wraps of dubbing going down the thread, and then once I've got a base around that thread, I can come back and dub over what's already been dubbed, thickening it up so that I can build something of a taper if I want to. And that is all there really is to dubbing. And you can see I built a tapered body here. The trick is to use very, very little dubbing material. When you think you have got it down to where it's just right, throw half of that away and you might be close to the amount of dubbing you need. You just need a little bit when you start out. Now, here's a little thread trick. See, when I bring this thread up, in this case, it's rolling towards the back of the hook. No tension on it. I just bring it up and it rolls towards the back of the hook. Well, you can change which way that thread is going to roll. Here you can see the direction I spun that. It's going around the back towards the left. I stop this now and I bring that thread up. You watch, that thread will go towards the eye. Now, I go and spin it the other way. See if I can spin that not quite so wildly here. Now spin the other way and let that spin a ways. When I stop this and pick it up, it's going to, when I start to wrap, it's going to bend back towards the bend of the hook. And this is important because at times you want that thread to come back against your thumb and forefinger, like I'm going to do right here. Now watch, this thread will come back. I can make a loose wrap, come down and cinch this, and watch my next wrap is going to be tight, and it'll pull that material up onto the top of the hook shank. If I had followed it with my right hand, it would be perfectly right. I'd move it up a little bit. And I've got that material trapped there right on top of the hook. And I'm going around with a loose wrap and pulling tight. Loose wrap, pull tight. Loose wrap, pull tight. Loose wrap, pull tight. And that's you can do that quickly, but that's the way to wrap and secure material, is make a fairly loose wrap and then pull tight at the end. And there's my material trapped right up top of my hook where I want it, and where I wanted it. And the other way to do that same thing here, get that squared away a little more there, even better, it's more centered. The other way to do that is a technique. Instead of that thread control technique where the thread pulls it up on top, you can use what they call a pinch technique. Let me trim these ends off. You watch my thumb and forefinger here, pinching in, and that pinch is what's going to keep my thread in the right place. So I come up, got my pinch open, push my thread back in here, kind of close that pinch up, let that thread back in a little ways and pinch good and tight. And you'll see I got a loop up above, and I can even open my pinch up if I want to move that loop around a little bit. But basically that loop is the secret. When you lock the bobbin and pull your thread tight, that's going to pull that down and trap that deer hair I've got on there. So here I've brought it back up through my thumb and forefinger, and I'm pulling up, cinching that thread down onto the hook shank, trapping that deer buck tail. And again, loose wraps, then pull tight, loose wrap, pull tight, loose wrap, pull tight. And there you go, that is trapped right on top of the shank where I want it. And that was done with the pinch technique, or you can use that thread control technique. Here's a pinch technique again for you. I come up, put my thread back in between my thumb and forefinger, come down, pinch it. You can see my loop there. There's a little bit of thread there. That's the secret. And now I'm going to come back up with my thread, get it in between there and pull straight up. It generally helps to keep the material centered if you end up wrapping around and pulling up. Then fairly loose wrap, pull tight, loose wrap, pull tight, and there you have it. There's a few tying technique tips for you, done with the left hand.